Hello and welcome to my 1986 Subaru BRAT. It is a very highly modified BRAT. We won't go into too many details here. I do have vlogs on this channel for the build process if you're interested, but a very quick rundown. It has a 2.2 liter engine swapped in from a 1992 Subaru Legacy. Starter. And it has a 5-speed dual-range transmission from a 1988 Subaru GL wagon. That transmission is selectable. You can go into front-wheel drive high range, four-wheel drive high range, or four-wheel drive low range. This car also has the complete driveline from that same GL wagon, as well as the front crossmember and suspension. So it is converted to a coilover spring rear suspension instead of the stock torsion bar rear suspension. It has a homemade lift kit, which is combined with the larger tires, gets me about 8 inches higher off the ground than a stock BRAT. This car was built to be sort of a fun weekend camper mobile, and I'm not done building it yet, but winter comes quickly in interior Alaska. And in fact, the keen-eyed among you will have already noticed that I'm snowed in right now, completely snowed under. There's no snow in the rest of this video. That's because I forgot to film this intro before I went on the trip. So I got home from the trip, and the next day it snowed, and here we are filming the intro in the snow. But the idea of this trip is I want to get the BRAT out on one good adventure before winter sets in and I park it for the season. So we're heading to the town of Nabesna, Alaska. Nabesna is an old mining town that has been abandoned, sort of a ghost town in any sense of the word you might think. And it's inside Wrangell St. Elias National Park, although not technically part of the park. It's like a private in-holding. It's kind of a weird situation. But it's got a bunch of old mining relics and buildings sort of out in the middle of nowhere in this beautiful Alaskan scenery. That's where we're going to try to head to spend the night. There is no official road to this place. There is a trail. It is recommended you do not drive a car on the trail, so that's what we're going to do. But that's 350 miles away from Fairbanks. First things first, we got to cover some miles on the highway. Just passed through the town of Tok, Alaska, where we filled up on fuel. It's about almost 200 miles exactly since we left Fairbanks, and it took us 11.178 gallons to fill back up, so we're running right around 18 miles per gallon. The sun is about to set in like 5 minutes, so it's about to get dark on us, so I probably won't be recording anymore for a while, but I'm going to try to cover some more ground and see if we can get to Nabesna tonight. Mile 28 and a half of the Nabesna Road, and we've reached the first of 3 small creek crossings. I gotta say I would prefer it was daylight for this, but it's not daylight. It shouldn't be a problem though, so we're gonna go for it. And we're through. We've reached the official end of the Nabesna Road. But Nabesna itself is another 2 to 3 miles that way. So there's a bunch of signs here that say stop. But there's also a sign that says drive at your own risk. And that suggests that you can drive it as long as you're okay with taking the risk, right? That's what that means, doesn't it? So I'm going to roll this barrel out of the way so we can squeeze through here. And we'll feel our way down the road, and if it gets too feeling like we're going to get stuck, we'll just back out. Okay, so right off the bat, it's looking pretty questionable. We're probably not even 100 feet past the closed signs. And I found this spot. Good road up to here. And then there's just a long patch of water, just straight water. I don't think it's as bad as it looked though. It's hard to tell because it is dark out here, and there's also a layer of ice on top of it, like half an inch or an inch of ice. But I got around up in there and just felt around. Felt around with my trekking pole. And I couldn't find anything deeper than, the deepest spot I found was like right here. And most of it was more like right here. If we compare that to the car, that's like up to the hubs basically. It's below the floor pan. I'm thinking that's doable. Keep in mind we do have a winch, we have a shovel, we have traction boards. I'm pretty sure if we have a problem getting across, we can get out. It will just be cold and wet and unpleasant. But I really don't think we're gonna have a problem. I've crossed worse looking stuff than that in this car before. We're through. Looks like the end of the line. We're actually there though. So I'm going to find a spot to park and we'll head out on foot. I found buildings. It is overgrown as hell out here. The car is like maybe 30 feet in that direction. I'll tell you, I came out here maybe 2014 or 15 in the Outback I owned at the time. And this was not grown up like this. This was like an open yard. And also I drove my Outback all the way out here, and the road was in much worse condition now than it was then. If it keeps degrading at this rate, it's going to be impassable for a car in the next year or two. But here we are. Relics of the mining age, and probably some other crap that people have brought in over the years. Refrigerators. Why wouldn't you have refrigerators? Map of Juneau area. And then over here, it's like the general store. This is probably, at least last time I was here, this is the most intact building remaining. I think this is where I want to set up for the night, in here. Probably just right on the floor in here somewhere. So I'm gonna go grab my bag of camping stuff out of the car and haul it in here. All right, first things first, let's get some actual light going on here, other than just the battery-powered light on my camera, because that's not gonna last all that long. This is a Coleman dual fuel lantern, runs on gasoline or white gas, and this is white gas I'm putting in it. It's a little finicky compared to a propane lantern, and definitely compared to a battery lantern. But once you get it fueled and started, it'll run for a good while, and it's good and bright. I did forget the funnel. You're supposed to have a funnel to help you pour, and I forgot to bring it. These types of lanterns you don't want to light indoors, so I've come outside. The ground is pretty wet, so it should be pretty safe out here. And also I found this was just here. I didn't put this here. But a metal basin sink, so we're extra safe. Okay, let's see if I can remember how to start one of these up. I know we have to pump it up. There's about 30 pumps there. So if we turn the nozzle here now, yeah, we can hear gas. What we need is a match. I brought some long matches so I can reach in a little easier. You should expect a little fireball when this thing goes off. There we go. There it goes, starting to burn in. You can see it getting a lot brighter. Dang, that's hard to look at. It's so bright. Okay, we've got a lantern. Take this inside. And I've got a quilt. It's the REI Magma 30 down quilt. And of course a pillow. This is the Nemo King pillow. King size pillow. And should it turn out to be cold enough, I also brought 15-degree sleeping bag. I went back out to the car and grabbed this bungee cord that I was using to hold gear down in the back of the bed, and just looped it through the door here and hooked it to this old radiator just to keep the door closed. Hopefully keep visitors away in the middle of the night. I mean, literally anything could just pull that open, but it's psychological. It's psychological help. FYI, if you're curious, I did bring can of bear spray and a 454 Casull revolver, Taurus Raging Bull. All of my food is out in the car, which like I said is 30 or 40 feet away, and it's in a hard-sided bear resistant food canister. All right, I got my bed set up here. I brought one beer with me. One is all I'm allowed to have in the creepy murder shack in the middle of nowhere. King Street Brewing Company Irish Stout. I'm gonna sit here and drink that, and got some downloaded TV shows on the tablet I was using for navigation in the BRAT. I also brought my e-reader with me. I could just read. So I'm gonna kill a little time and drink this beer. And then of course I need to take the can back out to the car so we don't have food residue in here. And then I'm gonna try to get some sleep. When the morning comes, we'll get out here and try to explore the area and see what we can see when there's actually light out. Now that it's daylight, we can see a little bit more. That's the cabin next door right there. I just noticed if you look way up to the top of this hillside here, there's the actual mine entrance up there. Or at least something. The mine entrances would have been up higher on the hill, and then they would have used trams to carry the raw ore down here for processing. Alright, so let's take a little look around the area now that it's daylight and we can see. This is the building we stayed in last night. I think it's the biggest one here. I could be wrong. It looks like the biggest one. I believe this was the general store or maybe like an office or something. This was an actual little mining town. It's not just in a single isolated cabin or two. Next door, we walked through this one and passed through, I guess you call this an alley in between them to get into this one last night. I think that was some sort of a workshop based on the stuff I see inside. There's another cabin over there. I haven't checked that one out. It looks hard to get to. There's a lot of alders or willows. There's one right down here in the trees. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty hard to get a glimpse of it, but it is completely collapsed. However, you can see a chimney or smokestack or something still sticking up out of it. If we walk around this way, we can see there's another one. You can just see the peak of it sticking out from behind this one. Another one up there. And this one right here. I think there's probably quite a bit more around here that I'm just not seeing because it's hard to see anything. It's so overgrown, like it's ridiculously overgrown here. I think I mentioned last night I came out here some years ago and it wasn't like this. I remember this area right here specifically. It was like wide open. There was a yard here. A bunch of old barrels here. This is that collapsed house that I was looking at from the general store. And I now see that that smokestack I could see was not part of this. It's actually something farther out. Yeah, there's another building right down there. And that might be where the smokestack's coming from. That's a nice plaid trunk. Okay, yeah. This is the building with the smokestack. Can we get in here? Or is it going to be a big pain? Look, see how all the trees are laying down in one direction? That's interesting. There's probably a reason for that that I don't understand. Looks like what you would see in an avalanche path, but I don't think this is an avalanche path. Ah, there's an old truck in there. It's a garage with an old truck inside. Let's see if we can get in there. Some sort of a tracked cart. No clue, but it's kind of cool. Here's our garage. Would you look at that? I don't know old Ford pickups well enough to tell you what model this is, but dang. Probably been here for a while. Probably parked in here when it was somewhat new. Still has an engine. Engine exists. The battery looks somewhat fresh, like someone tried to put a battery in this and get it started. More recently than the truck has been parked here. I can also see the battery looks like it's swelled, so it's not good anymore. There's another axle for one of those tracked carts. Apparently people have been signing the dust in the windshield. Bradley plus Sexy Kathy, okay. 2019. It would be cool if people wouldn't flippin' bust crap when they find it, because this wasn't busted by anything falling on it. Somebody just broke the glass for no reason. Cool. Oh, 3-pedal too. And then over here, is this a generator? Would this have been where they made electricity for the camp? Could be. There's a big old connecting rod right there. Dang. Somebody out there would desperately love to find that fender in shape, good shape. I don't know if I'd say that's in good shape, but it's in decent shape. It's better than the fenders on either of my project cars. This is like a gigantic flywheel, I think. Mill the Mine Smelter Supply Company, Denver, Colorado, USA. Number 64 and a half. Marcy Ball Mill. Just piled in the woods. I drove right past that last night. Here's the road. I didn't see it in the dark. This is another outhouse set off from the rest of the buildings. Everything else is over on this side. Here's the road. Actually, there's the old Brat peeking around the corner there. But I thought this was funny because somebody seems to have set up an old radiator as a bridge to step across this gully and get to the outhouse. See how the Brat's looking. It's a lot muddier than when you last saw it. We encountered some mud last night. I didn't record because it was dark. We'll see it on the way out today. There's another building right up there. Didn't see that one before. Yeah, we got a little bent fender there. Scraped against these tree branches. There, fixed it. Muddy Brat. Inside the workshop building, this is where we first entered last night. You see the couple of wood planks pulled off there. Probably an animal getting in and out there. This would be a good winter shelter for animals. Forbes, May 1979. Engineering and Mining Journal, February 1979. Engineering and Mining Journal, October 1974. Engineering and Mining Journal, September 1960. Beryllium. EMJ 1972. EMJ 1959. We're getting into some old piles of journals here. Newsweek 1998. Headlight off of, I don't know, some piece of heavy equipment, I guess. Map of Borneo. If you put all these together, you just get a huge map of the world, because that's kind of awesome. Pressure gauge that goes to 5,000 psi. Flectoverathane. Hunt's tomato paste. CB radio. Anchorage Daily News, September 1997. Coleman liquid fuel lantern that looks like it has burned up. Kirk Stanley pulps? No clue. Nobody waved goodbye. Fridge is empty. I'm actually relieved. Disturb not the dream. Reader's Digest, February 1974. Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. The Love Machine. Oh, I think we found the romance novel section. It's lonely out mining. Star Hunter and Voodoo Planet. Hitchcock Mystery Magazine, March 1986. Lisa, Bright and Dark. Reader's Digest, April 1983. Time Magazine, September 1985. Ooh, this one looks good. Mining Engineering. November 1956. That might be the oldest we've found so far. EMJ 1970. Alaska Industry 1978. Gold in 1984. Glen Allen and Valdez Telephone Directory 1970. Journal of Geology number 7. 1942. Dang. That's a new winner for oldest. British Columbia Digest 1962. National Tanks. American Scholar, Revolution on the Campus, 1969. Running. Corn? It's a film back for something. Oh, it's like a 35mm cassette reel for like a, I don't know, 6x9 camera? Never owned a 6x9 camera. Wings of Dreams and Flying Machines, 1983 calendar. U.S. News and World Report, 1998. Oregano. Band-Aids and Target Tokyo. Kaopectate. Stridex acne pads, very old. Brazil. There's still pickles in this jar. I don't know how old that is, but I don't want to touch it. There's still marinara sauce in this jar. I don't know how old it is, but I don't want to touch it. Urban bear attack, Anchorage Daily News, 2004. Only food in this cabinet. Take what you need, but please put the latch back when the door is closed. Signed Kirk W. Stanley. Science Digest, 1983. Einstein's Big Worry. Does God play dice with the universe? Another old abandoned Coleman liquid fuel lantern. Anchorage Daily News, 2005. Engineering and Mining Journal, 1975. Anchorage Times, 1984. Glossary of Geology. Soldier of Fortune, 1980. Mujahideen zero in on Ivan. Rocks. Wood stove. I don't know if I would try to fire that up without making sure it's clear. Rocks. Engineering and Mining Journal, 1989. Canned peaches. Rocks. Rock. Okay, I've got all my camp stuff packed up in my big dry bag and my other stuff packed up in my little day pack. I'm going to start hiking this stuff out to the car. Okay, that big building up there is the ore processing plant. And this craters of the moon looking area right here is the industrial runoff from that plant. Contaminated with heavy metals and other chemicals. So the ground is now contaminated and nothing grows here. You would definitely not want to drink surface water here, or probably eat any plants growing in this immediate area. It's unfortunate, but that's what happened when they ran the mine here. Just hiking up the hill towards the processing plant, and I noticed some moose tracks imprinted in the dirt here. Here's a little bit better view of the mine. I just walked up from where the car is there. I was gonna walk all the way up, but I see that it's about to get like steep, and because there's no vegetation here, I suspect that means muddy, and I don't want contaminated mud all over myself. So I think this is as far as I'm gonna go here. This is really like horrible actually. There's just barrels everywhere in addition to this contaminated soil. They were not environmentally friendly when they were running this mine. If you look up on the hillside, you can see a couple more of those trams. I think right in the center of the screen there is the one we could see from the town. There's another one slightly down right there. So they would have been mining up, way up on the hillside there, and those trams would have pulled the ore down to the processing plant here. This hill right here was the hardest thing I had to get up last night. I couldn't just crawl up it. That's what I tried at first. I eventually had to back up and hit it with a little gusto. You can see right here where I was actually dragging the bottom of the car when my tires were down in these ruts. I expect it'll be easier going down because going down is easier than going up. But I'll film it nonetheless. Go set the camera up at the end. Back here again. This was the first obstacle we saw after leaving the official road last night, so it'll be the last one we need to get through today. I just bushwhacked up on foot to get the camera here to set up the shot. So let me hit back to the car. We did it! We're out! Officially back onto a road. All right, we made it back home safely in the driveway. The car did develop a squeaky noise on the drive home. Like in the last 30 miles, we made it 650 miles and developed a squeak right at the end. I think it's coming from somewhere down near the clutch area. So it could be like a throwout bearing starting to go out. I'm gonna have to do some diagnosing and see if I can figure out what's going on there. Otherwise, that was a good shakedown run. Can we even call it a shakedown run with those last few miles into Nabesna being so much rougher than expected? I think that was just a legitimate adventure, BRAT venture. Either way, we made it home safe and sound. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.